floats in mercury.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, it does.
But most things float in mercury. It's a very dense liquid.
Okay, we are officially alive. So I don't know if all this thing about anvils floating in mercury got caught, but...
It's fine.
Hi, my name is Andy. I'd probably float in mercury.
Yes,
You would.
Yes, you would.
Your feet would barely go into it.
And it would be very difficult for you to keep any form of balance, so you'd just be flopped over floating.
And then possibly dead.
No.
Only if you have cuts. Okay.
I am armored. I am the tall man that if you were to fall over, bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Hello, I am Denny. I do the Strem. I am currently doing Link Bomb.
Yes.
Jesse.
I am Beltrolls. I think we are still late, so...
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, we're late. Sorry.
It happens.
I am Methosia.
Ah, yes. Ah, yes, wonderful. Ah! And hello, everyone. I'm Ash, the DM. I am the one who writes the game, and then writes the more game, and then writes the other game. Don't ask me how many games I'm writing for right now. I will give you an honest answer. And I don't want to have to say it out loud.
Fair enough.
Anyways. Yeah. Anyways. Last time we left our heroes, or whatever you might call them. They had just reached an interesting location. A singular hole with a small outcropping of stone nearby that just seems to descend into darkness. It is set between two large lakes. The one to your east considerably larger than the one to your west. And it is almost in, I wouldn't say a valley, because valleys between lakes don't work, for obvious reasons. But imagine if there was just a strip of land that ran between these two, almost as a natural bridge. It sits on the conjoining portion towards the middle of that sort of land bridge. You all have stopped the cart nearby this location, having spotted it from a good distance away.
Before we delve in, Ket is going to cast Gift of Alacrity on herself.
Alright.
Takes a
I'm
minute.
popping that into the chat.
Yeah, give me a minute. Just want to mark it
No,
on my sheet.
you see, no minutes.
Have we had a short rest between the fight and now?
We had a long
this
rest.
is this is the next day, so
Sorry, brain, networking.
yeah, the fight with the water elemental happened like midday the previous day.
Alright. But no, Gift of Alacrity takes a minute to cast 8 hours.
Alright. So yes. If initiative it has to be rolled, keep in mind that you have the Gift of Alacrity for the next 8 hours.
Yep.
Alright.
Da Vinci would also like to pull Keta aside.
Right.
Just, I don't want to take up a whole thing, so here. And he gives you... Yeah, he gives Keta a armband. Well, the project that he's been working on, which is a armband intended to sit on the the up about middle of your forearm, which is made out of silver wire that have been tied together in pairs of 2 to create 4 strips. And a silver sheet to create basically a 4-point diamond that stands out on the outside of your arm, covered with silver plate that has been cut and pressed into the shape of leaves, and silver wire to create the illusion of basically silver vines wrapping around your arm. With a diamond-shaped crystal, the arcane focus, set in the center, with a silver and steel casing around it, presenting the image of vines creeping across and holding this crystal in place. And he gives you the instructions that there are 2 leaves on either side of the crystal that, if you press it, will basically deposit the cage that the crystal is in from the armband. And he created a full clockwork, a very simple and rudimentary kind of locking mechanism inside kind of the housing of the armband, so that it's very simple. You press the 2 leaves, it releases into your hand, and to put it back, you just slot it back in and it'll lock in place.
Magic. Neat. Thank you. Not even
Alrighty.
snug. Down into the hole we go.
So, how do we want to get down there?
Probably walking.
Is it a straight? Sorry, I might have missed it. Is it a straight hole down, or is it an open kind of cave that you can walk into?
It's just a hole.
So it's more like a well.
It doesn't have anything directly built up around it. There's a stone structure nearby, but the hole itself is literally just a hole in the ground.
Kind of nearby.
Unless you can walk vertically, I don't think we're walking down that.
Not a spider.
So what's the structure that's nearby?
As I mentioned previously, it's almost akin to like a Stonehenge-esque structure. These megalithic stones that are stacked, not quite around it, but fly right in my fucking nose!
Oh God! I'm sorry for laughing.
It's fine. It's only incredibly uncomfortable. You know, you'd think that I'd be able to do something about the flies eventually, but there's always at least one in my room. Every time I kill one, another one appears, and it's very annoying.
I have an idea.
Okay, but to describe the structures, there are megalithic stones stacked on each other, similar to Stonehenge, where they're like the 2 supporting pillars and a larger one set on top of them across them as a bridge. But there is a singular structure slightly further set backwards, which is almost akin to almost like a stone hut, but it has no forward-facing. It has no front wall, and the stones that are being used to make it are massive.
I have an idea. I can cast light on a rock, and we can throw the rock in the well to see how far down the water is.
So I'm gonna rope. I think
No.
I finally bought a rope.
Unfortunately, I forgot to purchase rope in the previous town.
I mean, I thought you would have
No.
had rope by now, normally, Halsey. So I have 50 feet of silk rope if you would like to borrow it.
Please.
I'm not good at tying knots. You might want to get Jamel for that one.
I don't really need to tie knots. Just gonna lower my hand down there.
You want me to cast light on the hand?
It's a spider. It can see in the dark.
Oh, but you can't see the spider.
But I can see what the spider sees.
While you do that, I'm going to just quickly do something in the cart.
Okay, I don't know how far 50 feet's gonna get us.
All right.
Well, at least let us.
Philly, are you casting
scout things
Spider
out.
Hand?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure to mark off your spell slots.
Yep, I'm just...
So am I just tying the rope around like Failsy's wrist?
No. The
It'd
spider...
more be that you're gonna lower the rope down, I assume, and the spider, because it's a spider, is just sort of standing on the end of the rope.
Pretty much.
Use the
Bye-bye,
rope like
spider.
spider thread.
Yee. You were about to say something, by the way, Danny. What was that?
Just Morgan saying that this plan at least lets us scout things out.
Alrighty then.
And
You have to drop
just
that down there, just don't hit the spider.
I mean, how big is the hole in the ground?
At the entrance where you can see, it's about 4 foot across. Just over a meter for those not empirically aligned.
Let's skedaddle our way over to the hole. Lower it down.
Alright, Failsy, are you taking the time to ritual cast or just casting?
We're not in a hurry, so I'll just ritual cast it.
Alright. Alright.
I'm gonna keep an eye out as Cat just kind of staring at the hole.
Alright. Brimstone and Morrigan, what are you wanting to do right now?
I can't do anything at the moment because I really have to go to the washroom.
Okay.
I cannot hold it. I'm so sorry.
Go.
Go, go, go.
Don't explain yourself, just go.
Oregon run.
I don't really know. The surrounding area is like surrounding this area. Is it stone or is it like
It's like a
Plains or-
field.
field? Okay.
Like like shin high grass field. Like far off to both your left and right of where you guys are, there is the sandies or more rocky than sandy beaches that just
Okay.
completely surrounds those lakes. But
Mhm.
most of what's around you guys is this just shin high grass.
Right.
Which go ahead and make a perception check for me, and Keto would notice this with her passive.
When
I
you
want you
say
to make
shin,
one as well.
When you say shin high, how high is this on Keta given she's like 5'1"?
You're still shin high. You're not that short. It's like about a foot tall grass.
Ooh. I probably
So I'm just
don't
gonna
know.
kinda
So,
as Keta's staring, she's just gonna stick out a few candies and leave them as offering, just because, like, I'm in Fae territory. It's polite.
Okay. I mean, this was not a hard thing to notice. In fact, the low roll kind of makes it even stranger for you, because you're just like, there should be some amount of animal sound around you right now. But this is something you all pick up on, is that there is no animal sounds around you.
I don't like how quiet it is.
Hey, Brimstone.
You occasionally hear like the gentle rustle of the underbrush as a wind will blow through, but you do not hear the distinct sounds of animals that you have heard pretty consistently throughout any of your travels before, even while traveling on a road.
Hey, Brimstone.
Mm,
Do you think we're maybe being watched? And we might be intruding on somebody's home? Or an area they call home?
I mean, maybe. I'd imagine that if there's something strong enough to drive off all the animals, they would have made their presence known by now.
Does
If they
Keta see
really
that kind of...
didn't want us.
Sorry. You mentioned the hut-like structure. Is that easy to see from our position?
Yes. I mean, they're megalithic stone structures.
She's gonna just
They're
kind of
very
point-
easy to notice.
She's gonna point towards the hut and go, far be it from me to know architecture, but that looks like a house of sorts. Maybe one that
I mean, yeah.
a very giant person would be in. Or
Potentially.
some sort of predecessor to a Jotun.
I don't know. Maybe.
Does Felzy know what a Jotun is?
Do you know the giant language?
Nope.
Then no.
Well,
That
Yeah,
is
I
a
think
word.
the only
That is a
one-
word you don't recognize.
I think the only one of us that knows that is Keta.
Yeah, for once, my
'Cause,
choice came in handy.
I mean, as I always say every time, what language does he speak comes up. If the rest of the party doesn't know it, I don't. The only languages I speak are the ones that everyone does.
It
Fair.
came up. The word Jotun came up in reference to clockmaker.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe Ferenche mentioned the name Yoden, and Keta said what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, then. It's hard for me to remember everything that you guys have heard about before.
Mm-hmm.
What the
Yeah.
fuck are you gonna do with this?
No. A predecessor to a Jotun. Having the Goliaths aren't exactly Jotun, but you know.
You know that they're the descendants of them.
Kent is just trying to figure out a way to explain it because I don't know if she'd know the word for what a giant is, or if
It's
she'd know any-
Jotun. You know, Jotun is the actual term for giant. Like, that is what the true giants are called.
Yeah, no. I'm thinking that might be a Jotun's home. Jotun being the actual giant, but then you have the successors, which are like Goliaths. So, I mean, but it makes sense. An area cleared out of animals. Somebody might be using them for hunting, maybe sacrifices. Before we do anything with the well, I think we might want to look over and see if we might have company while we're trying to help people.
I mean,
Just lost.
didn't the cult have something they wanted to do here too?
I mean, if you all want to investigate that stone structure, you can.
But why would they clear out all the animals?
People gotta eat. Even if they're psychotic fucking doomsayer cultists.
Well, if we're gonna do that, then I guess I'll just put this on my shoulder. She puts a spider on her shoulder while she has a stump of a hand.
I can fly over the area. Get it the stretch of the wings.
Don't you have limited uses of that today?
I mean, when else am I gonna turn into a giant owl? Scouting mission seems perfect opportunity to turn into a giant owl.
I mean, if that's what you want to do.
Alright.
Just kind of flick up her hood and get into owl.
You flick up the hood, and as it droops over your head, it's almost like the hood itself drapes over top of Keta's eyes, and then her body starts shifting, almost Animorph style, and stretching into the shape of the armor, like the cowl of the armor, until it has become a gigantic owl. Almost as if the armor itself is now a personified entity. And yes, she does look very... it looks like a very ratty owl.
A very sick owl.
Not sick, just very dusty and dirty and has not preened its feathers in a long time.
I can carry somebody, I think, on my back. I am considering
More
it
in
alive.
your claws, because legitimately speaking, birds don't carry things on their back because they need their back to fly.
Yeah.
I always
Does anybody-
find that annoying in other fantasy things where you depict someone riding on the back of a bird.
Does anybody want to go for a ride?
You can't speak in this form. You should have conveyed that thought before becoming bird.
True.
Like,
It's more so just looking expectantly at everybody, like, go. Do I go?
What are you waiting for?
Fly off towards big structure.
Alright. So you take to the air, and you're almost immediately there because it's only about 10 feet away from where you guys were standing previously.
Yeah.
It's more so aerial, because, big stone.
I was just gonna walk to the big
Alright.
stone thing, since we're
Alrighty then.
with a spider on his shoulder. Since it's like, okay, well, I guess we're doing this then.
Alright then. Keta, you in your owl form, you see it from above, and I mean, it's a large ring of stones set up in this megalithic structure. Probably about the internal diameter of this circle of stones is probably about 30 to 40 feet. It's hard for you to assess it with your bird brain.
I don't know
But
math.
it's not... Yeah, you don't know math. You barely know math when you're not a bird. But you looking, it's not a terribly big structure. It's noticeable from the side, but from above it's not actually that interesting. And the structure, the hut-like structure behind it, is not nearly as big as you were previously thinking it was, just to make things clear.
Hmm.
It's made of huge stones, but the internal structure of it, the inside of it, would not be that big.
Are there any windows I could fly past?
No.
No?
It's like made of. It is essentially made of 4 large rocks. Like flat surfaced rocks stacked against each other.
Hmm.
And like the roof is almost not like sitting on top of them all, like it's a perfect like 90 degrees set on top of it. The whole structure has like a very gentle like slope downwards towards its back, and the final stone is like leaned up against the other 4 or the other 3 stones that make up the 3 walls that the structure does have. And it's partially like even touching into the ground.
Just gonna make a noise and look at, like, point to the thing, cause strange thing.
Ah! I don't know what sound owls make. They just make weird screaming sounds.
Burp sounds.
Keta just screams.
Ah! So Keta's screaming in the air.
Just kind of
Well,
point.
I know Failsy said that she was walking forward. What about the rest of you?
I mean, I guess.
Oh.
Unplugged myself. I guess I'll just follow after Failsy
Okay.
at a safe, like, 25 feet back.
Okay, so you don't move.
Yeah.
You
I
just
guess.
watch
Yeah.
to see if Failsy explodes.
Pretty much.
Fair enough.
I want to say at least at edge of explosion radius.
Okay,
In case Failsy decides something needs to blow up and she's the best thing to blow it up. I don't fucking know what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean.
Alrighty then.
In case Failsy does a Failsy.
You're using Failsy as bait.
I mean,
yes. No, we're using Failsy as primitive C4.
Alright. Oh, something I forgot to mention. The only notable thing that you would notice, Keta, that isn't actually immediately noticeable from your previous perspective, is that there is like a flat stone in the middle of the circle, but it's not raised at all. It's set into the ground.
Okay. Braid, understand. Strange stone.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and Failsy, as you get closer, you sort of notice where the grass just suddenly vanishes in the center of this megalithic structure. And there's just this large circular stone set into the earth in the middle of it.
Huh. Is it just a flat stone, or is there any inscriptions on it?
As you get close, you do notice it does seem to have... It definitely has scratches on it. Though whether or not they're language, you'd have to properly give it some investigation. You also do notice that there's, like, a weird texture to the ground here. It's crunchy.
Like freshly dried mud, or
You look underfoot, and there's just like this... There's the grass, obviously, that you see around you, but as you've been walking forward, you've been putting your feet into and partially through this sort of like white layer on the ground.
Someone spilled a lot of cocaine. Just everywhere.
I was gonna reach down and see if you can break a piece off to look at it.
Yeah. You reach down and just pluck a piece off. It comes off in like these little flakes. And it's not everywhere. It's just like every few steps there's like a little spot where there's just this disc almost. But yeah, you just chip up a piece of it, and it's like just this white. It's white on the top and sort of like stained brown on the bottom from the dirt from where you pulled it up.
Is this poop?
Doesn't look like poop and doesn't smell like poop.
Is this
It
like
very readily turns to dust whenever you touch it, though.
Hmm.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check if you want to try to identify what it is.
investigation? 18?
18. Nice. It's notable, especially when it turns to powder. It smells like bone meal.
Oh, goody.
There's no like smell of rot to it, but that like distinct. How was the best way to describe this? It's just that distinct dry sensation in your nose, and that in a weird sort of vaguely organic scent to it. It reminds you a lot of whenever in alchemical practices you would have to use bone meal.
Hey, Brimstone. There's a lot of bone meal.
What?
There's a lot of bone meal here. He's only like 10 feet away.
Yeah, you stopped pretty close into the circle once you started noticing this weird crunchy texture under your feet.
Does it stop at the edge of the ring?
Go ahead and make for me a. What's your passive perception? It's 11.
Like 11.
You glance. This fly, I hate it so much. You glance down at the ground at your feet when you're just sort of like walking around the outside of this stone structure. You do notice as you're like looking down through the grass, there are spots of the dirt where it just turns white. Like the dirt itself becomes white.
The fuck?
I have a question.
Yes, bird.
Could Keta, since she actually technically does keep all of her mental stats with this version of Polymorph, could she, seeing where like Failsy pull up something strange, start kind of like using her talons to sort of like dig in the earth where this like strange white stuff is to see if like we might come across anything?
Pretty sure I previously mentioned that when you polymorph yourself, you have bird brain stats.
With how I can do it, I retain my intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't mean she can talk.
It doesn't mean I can talk, but I can understand that something is strange, and Failsy is investigating it, and I can also understand the languages that they're speaking. I just can't speak it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can understand those languages anyways, because giant owls have a few.
Failsy's still debating herself on whether or not to spend a spell slot to understand Keta.
I mean, you look at it. I mean, what are you trying to gather from it?
I mean, I'm just seeing if there's like a point of origin for this. If it's like if it comes to like one single point when I start digging it up, or if it's just like all in one area, and like if I keep going down, it's just gonna be all kind of like one specific like area.
It just seems to be on the surface.
The best way a bird can convey is just point, like, look at Failsy, point to the ground where I dug up.
Yes, Keta, it's bone meal. I don't think you should eat it. She says as she steps further in to investigate the stone slab in the center.
Alrighty then. At this point, Jervinche, you could return to the scene. Unless you are specifically waiting for another point.
No. he takes a allotted amount of time for himself for his thing. After I would say basically 20 minutes to the second, he comes back out, just sees what's going on here, and just leans up against the cart.
All right. Failsy, as you make your way closer towards the center of the circle, go ahead and make an investigation check for me.
Investigate. 15.
All right. As you look over this center sort of like platform embedded into the dirt, it's a good, you'd say probably 5 foot across, just about a meter and a half wide for metrically inclined folks. And the first thing you definitely notice about it is that it is covered in scratches. Like small nicks in the stone.
Does it have any sort of pattern to it that makes it look like writing? Or an inscription?
No, honestly not. It just looks like scratches to you. There is something you do notice about it that does seem kind of weird, is that it's not perfectly, like, set flat into the ground. It's at a very, like, slight angle. Like, one side of it is slightly further off the ground than the rest of it.
Is one side of it like jutting out of the ground?
Yeah, one side of it seems to be just ever so slightly jutting out of the ground, and the other side is slightly further embedded in the ground.
I'm gonna put my spider down on the ground on the raised side and have it take a look underneath. If it's
All right,
all
there
flat.
there isn't an underneath,
Oh.
or at the very least, there isn't unless you try to like dig into the dirt here. It looks to be a fairly thick stone.
I will get out my crowbar and see if I can slip it down the side of it and jimmy up. See if I can jimmy it up.
All right. Go ahead and make a strength check. It is with the crowbar, so you can make it with the crowbar.
13.
13. You try and jimmy it up. The thing you notice is this stone itself is probably 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet thick. So as you're like jamming the crowbar down into the ground, you push it pretty far into the dirt while trying to find the edge of this piece of rock.
That's not gonna work.
And you like try to, and you just end up pushing your crowbar into the dirt at the side, and it does not move the stone at all.
I guess we'll come back and look at this later. With a shovel.
Before we leave the area, could Keta try something?
Sure, what do you want to try?
I want to stand on the stone and start kind of hopping to see if it's going to, like, move.
Alright, you stand on the stone and start hopping.
Seems like a weird ritual. Weird ritual
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, you all just watch as Ketcha, like, bird walks in the way that owls do in their creepy little prancy step. and just stands on this middle platform and starts hopping.
Okay. Now Ferris is just going to spend a spell slot to cast comprehend languages.
I think you'd have to cast speak with animals.
Yes, because comprehend languages does not work for this because owls cannot, or giant owls cannot speak.
You can speak giant owl. I don't think comprehend languages is gonna work for giant owl.
Yeah, unfortunately, because speak with animals is a spell, comprehend languages does not work for it. You cannot talk to an animal with comprehend language.
You would first need to speak a language.
Giant owl.
Animals, these languages of an animal is not a language as far as humans or any sentient race is concerned. It's a very basic form of communication used to relay simple ideas. It's not a language.
Opha's still going to cast it because she's frustrated.
Okay.
And while she's still staring at the large disc that Ket is hopping on, did she accidentally figure out that that's a language there either at the same time?
No, it does not become a language.
No, okay.
It looks like it is just scratches.
Well, I'm not getting any clues out of what that is. And nor am I strong enough to try and yeet it out of the ground.
It seems like a weird thing to want to right now, Ferzi.
About how thick does this bone dust seem?
It looks like it's just on the surface.
Okay.
Like, it's thin enough that whenever you step through it, it just sort of crunches and turns to powder underfoot.
Got it.
Like,
So
have you ever seen whenever there's like a really thin layer of... Okay. Have you ever seen when there's a really thin layer of water on the ground and then it freezes but the water goes away and you're just left with like that floating tiny platform of ice?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that.
Got it.
But it's bone meal. It's like a solid disc of bone meal.
Okay. Would I have any context for anything magical that could do this?
I think I might
Make a history check.
Okay.
This seems like some weird shit that I don't know if Morgan would know anything about, but I just don't know.
Anyone who wants to can.
At this point, can I willingly drop the polymorph because Keta has something she'd like to say because she had a thought?
Yeah.
I think we're standing in a graveyard. Or a battle site.
I don't know about that.
Alright then.
Morgan,
I'll go with... Technically yes, but I feel like you're not technically supposed to be allowed to.
Oh! I'll roll flat.
Alright, anyways, Morgan.
You can give yourself it.
It reminds you, like, whenever you're looking at this, it reminds you a bit of whenever you've seen, like, bones that get really badly burnt, and they just sort of crumble, and then get wet, and then dry again. They kind of, like, make this, like, plate.
Almost looks
again, like
abandoned remains.
Are you sure we really want to be messing with this?
Yeah, both Brimstone and Keta, you get the same sense of just like whenever bone meal gets wet and then solidifies again into a flat disc. And I'm sorry, but Keta, even with a natural 20, you would have no context for something like this because of your history?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay. Brimstone,
she gets the nat 20 Because she remembers it probably off of whatever Brimstone and Redemption have said. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. Brimstone, this distinctly reminds you of whenever you've seen someone be melted, either by exceedingly intense heat or acid. Like, to the point where only the bones are the thing that are left behind. Everything else dissolves to nothingness, and the bones just turn into this powder.
But this is clearly not just one person. This is many.
This is if it was just one person, then every single one of their bones would have had to be scattered around. And it's never big enough spots to make you think, oh, this was one big thing that died. It's a bunch of little spots.
This ain't a graveyard. It ain't a battleground. These people were slagged. Whether it's fire or acid, I don't know.
Do you think it might have been a sacrifice site?
Fucking probably.
Fez is going to get down close to the stone plate and see if it's been like the site for a cauldron or a fire.
It doesn't. I mean, if it does not look like it has been recently used for that, if it was ever. The only thing that is noticeable about it is the weird angle it's in the ground at, and the fact that it's covered with little scratches.
And
like, you can even put your hand up to them and trace along them, and they look like a creature might have scratched it, because they have like almost a pattern to them.
whatever did this was strong, either fire or acid, kind of gestures at Falsey.
Jamel just spoke earlier. She's right. She's in the area now, isn't she?
All of the NPCs are, except for Elway and Gregory.
The grandparents.
They're not grandparents. Wait.
Jamel,
technically they are.
Well,
Jamel isn't.
Does this look like your sunbathing stone? It kind of looks like a sunstone.
But it could certainly work as one. I mean, it doesn't look like mine. Mine is just a smooth stone that I like to lay on. This is... And she, puts her hand against it. Especially because Jamel does have claws. And when she, runs her hand across it, it is definitely... It looks like scratch marks from something.
Does the current Arya that's Falesey's mom have claws?
Pretty sure.
I think on her feet
she
has
does.
them.
She's got claws, yeah. I mean, she has lizard feet, but she has claws on both sets of hands.
I forget how big she is. Is she roughly Jamel size minus tail?
Arya?
Yeah.
I think she's bigger.
Arya's 6'4" or something like that.
Oh, I
she is not. She's not big. She's like a person size. Yeah,
Got it.
She gains a little bit of height because of how her feet work, obviously.
Okay,
but if you were to discount the fact that she's got the giant dragon feet, obviously you guys know what it is, dragon feet. She would be just the size of a normal human.
Okay.
Do you think these might have been from Arya?
I don't know what you would gain from being out here.
I mean, slaughter, more power. I mean, we're near the wellspring. I don't know.
Why
She's
would
crazy.
It doesn't make
Calculated
sense for
crazy,
her to
but,
be. I mean, I don't know anything about the fucking bitch, but it seems like it would be risky to be out here, even for her. I don't know. Maybe it's possible.
What if she
Fancy.
wasn't? Oh, sorry.
It's fine. I just had a thought that might discount that.
I don't know.
Felzy, you mentioned that staff you have now. When you looked at the big man's brain,
Brute.
he's still a man.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, qualities of personality do not change existence. Anyways, when you looked at his brain, you said that they were supposed to come unleash this wellspring, right?
That was their orders. Was to fetch the staff and do something with it.
Do you think?
Why would
Sorry.
it not be unleashed if she came from here? Or she was already here before then?
It's a good idea. I'm leaning more towards a wild beast of some sort might stalk this area.
That's what I'm questioning. Do you think potentially this was a group of cultists that were actually stationed here waiting for Boris to come here?
Possibly.
And they might have been killed.
Well, what would have killed them?
Whatever would have probably done this, which means we're dealing with something capable of spitting a lot of fire or a lot of acid, if not both.
I have a thought, maybe. What if the wellspring is sentient in a sense? They needed a staff to unleash it.
Or
Lee's
there's a
here
creature
now.
living in. Or if there's a creature living in the wellspring that wasn't too kind to visitors.
I mean,
Huh.
there could be a Levani in there. I mean, Levani are said to change in strange ways when they have a readily accessible source of wild magic. It could have been a Levani that essentially adapted to the area.
Well, let's see if there's any clues in that cave hut thing.
Lee is on the
Something
scene
up,
right
Lee?
now, and he's just sort of like looking back and forth between what you guys are doing in the hole. Like he's got a thought forming in his brain.
Do you feel something? Do you hear somebody?
He just walks over to the hole.
What are you doing?
I'm checking something.
Did you actually get to sending that spider down?
Well, I was planning to, then everyone got diverted to the structure.
Well, good thing you did. Now we know that there's something weird going on.
He starts like patting around the edge of the hole. Huh.
What?
There's a dent.
What do
Lid.
you mean?
Lid?
Well, if
You
it's
look-
a lid, something really strong yeeted it away from the hole.
I'm looking where he's kind of patting just to see maybe get an idea of what he's seeing.
Yeah, you like notice like as Lee is like smushing the grass around because the grass is like grown up right to the edge of the hole. And it's partially why you guys wouldn't have noticed this before. But there's like a lip at the edge of the hole where it drops down into the dirt a little bit.
Do you think it would? Oddly, you're brilliant.
That is categorically untrue.
It's a compliment.
Okay,
Look,
I
even
accept it. Thank you.
I mean, yeah.
Do you think it's a lid?
So,
Maybe.
do you,
I mean, claw
do
marks
you
from trying
think
to lift it.
that it's just a matter of? I mean, if it flew and there was enough force behind it to stick it in the dirt, it's possible, I guess.
That might explain the weird angle.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was originally supposed to be some sort of ritual stone, do you think wouldn't it not have been set higher above the ground, at least a little bit, so it's noticeable by
Probably.
people?
I
Then
mean,
why is the structure over there and not here?
Maybe the cult moved it, and maybe woke something up in the process.
Finding the fact that they needed the staff to awaken it or do something with it.
or maybe the staff is an integral part of awakening it, and if you perform the ritual without the staff, shit goes south real quick.
Like a conduit?
I don't fucking know.
You guys keep
It's
saying sacrifices. What if they just were making sacrifices to whatever's in the hole?
I mean, but
If
if there's
there
something
even
in
is something in the hole.
but if there's
I
something in the
don't know.
hole, it wouldn't it not have heard us talking by now or something?
Could be nocturnal.
That is terrifying.
What were you gonna say, Danny?
Nothing. Sorry, I'm just,
Okay,
I'm just breathing.
Okay, I thought it was a sigh, like you were trying to say something and got spoken over, so I was just
No,
making
I'm
sure.
just breathing is all.
Okay. I don't want you to be excluded, so I'm just making sure.
I appreciate it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Alright, Failsy, you start lowering the rope down. Alright, you start lowering the rope down and down. And I don't know. I think I don't understand what's going on, if I'm being honest.
I'm just seeing what's down the hole.
I did
Alright.
have a terrible thought after a whole exploration. That's when,
Failsy, you lower it all the way to the end of the rope and don't reach the bottom.
I'll bring the rope to the very edge and have my spider start crawling down the side of the wall.
Alright.
And see how far it can go. It can go up to 100 feet before I start losing cohesion with it.
Alright. You do so. You get all the way to that 100 feet. And at the... does it have a dark vision range? You said it had the ability to see in the dark.
I assume it does. It's a spider, but it's in the monster manual. I think I've got a character sheet here for it.
Spiders do have dark vision out to 30 feet.
Dark vision, 30 feet. You
Correct.
can see just at the edge of its ability of its dark vision that the hole starts to widen. But you do not see a floor or anything.
Well, She's got like one hand. Oh no, she can't do that. Yeah. Well, I can see that it's widening at about 100 feet down.
130
can't
feet down.
Or at 130 feet.
have you hit liquid yet?
No. Spider's still very, very dry.
Huh.
I have a thought. Maybe. If there is something living in there, and it might be of a, and she kind of vaguely motions towards Lee, kind of him variety, of person. Do you think it might be drawn out by another one of them kind of lingering about, but like more powerful?
Or it could be cowed by that. We don't necessarily know how intelligent this one is.
True.
I don't exactly like the idea of using Elway as bait.
I also don't know why there would be a Levani here. I mean, admittedly, they're not all likely. They don't all enjoy the sea necessarily, but I think a fair majority of them do.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
And if there was, wouldn't they be living in the hut or the lakes?
I mean,
By the
they
well.
might be.
Rose is going to hold out her staff over the hole and see if there's any sort of resonance with what might be down there, if this is the wellspring.
Alright. You hold out the staff in your hand and make a strength saving throw.
Shit.
Oh no.
As you feel the staff suddenly get yanked downwards.
Oh, yeah, strength saving throws. The saving throw we're all phenomenal with. Yes, that was said as a joke.
I find my actual character sheet because I popped it out and it's now in my millions of tabs.
No, why? No more tab.
Hubris.
It's a bad
and also
soda.
art.
I don't like the soda.
Strength, exact 0.
Correct.
Abuski.
That's not terrible.
17.
It's like, no, my staff!
Alright. So, this actually presents you with a choice. Do you drop the staff or go with it?
My staff!
Do you drop the staff or you drop yourself like Failsy would?
I guess I'm going with the staff.
Alright. You all hear as Failsy just says, "My staff!" and then is yanked into the hole.
Oh, shit.
I feel like we're hearing the beginnings of the echo and just... God damn it, Failsy.
I think Jimbo's gonna eat us.
I'm gonna... I don't know if I need to use fast cast or not, but I'm gonna use my demon wings.
Alright.
Quick
my
spell for Demon Wings.
What are you doing with them?
I'm assuming Quicken Spell.
Basically, just to make sure I don't flatten myself at 100 feet down.
Alright then. Interesting point of order. Trying to grow wings and polymorph yourself in a space that they will not fit in is a little awkward.
And really painful.
So, what ends up happening is you just sort of get wedged about 50 feet down as the wings sprout out of your back and then just become a tangled mess in the hole above you. And I'm going to roll damage for you to take because that hurt like a motherfucker.
Because even if the wings are not necessarily a part of your body, they're attached to your back, which certainly is.
Yeah, the thing is more of a
panic reaction.
And if Failsy had a hand to do it, she would have rammed her hand into the wall to grab something.
Fair, but you're currently missing hand because it is spider.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not be now as you rush past the spider.
No, she stopped herself at about 50 feet down, so the spider's about 100 feet down. But you take 11. You take 11 points of, I'll call this slashing damage, as you scrape your body against the walls of this hole.
That looks painful.
Not that we saw it.
Yeah, you guys just heard Failsy go, "My staff," then scream and fall. And then this terrible echoing of a crunch sound.
Yeah, I guess Lee and Keta might, because they were still at the hole.
I'm just gonna get my spider to come back to me as well. It's like, well, I'm not.
Da Vinci immediately runs to the edge of the hole up, donning the dark vision goggles.
Alright, you do so.
Morgan would be following suit just because, oh shit, this ain't good.
Yeah. And Failsy, your staff is still trying to pull you downwards.
I'm just trying to quickly bring my resources together so it's like, can get back to me.
Yeah. Like, at this point, the strength save is letting you hold on to it, and because you're so fucking wedged, you're not going anywhere, but you ended up taking damage because of it.
Should we get her wife, who's probably a lot stronger than all of us, to probably help her?
I mean, I don't think it's a
like
matter
at
of
the
getting
edge of the
Jamel.
hole, just like looking down into it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think it's a matter of getting Jamel. She heard it too. It's a matter of getting the fuck out of Jamel's way before you also fall in the hole.
Jamel is doing that thing where her hands are like slightly in the the steepled hand pose, just like in front of her lips, and she's looking down the hole.
Concern.
Yeah. She's thinking the same thing Brimstone said. Damn it, Failsy.
Pretty much.
Once Fails gets her hand back, she's gonna drop the wings, calculating that she's got about 70 feet, and she'll cast it again.
All right, what's everyone else doing at this moment?
I
Is it just
don't
straight
know
drop
what
down?
I can do.
It's just a straight drop down.
Oh, fuck me. Alright.
As far as we're aware, yeah.
Failsy, can you grab the rope?
I need
Failsy
a
was
hand.
holding the rope.
Yeah!
Shit.
Yeah. So now the
Failsy
rope
lowered
is
her own
with
hand
her.
down.
Yeah, so the rope is presently with her. There is no rope up here.
It,
God damn it, Failsy.
Yeah, and as you shout that, you actually look down and see as like this crumpled mass of wings that you can see just at the edge of your dark vision, vanish, and she continues falling.
Should we go after her?
it Da Vinci will jump in.
No. Morgan's not gonna stop him. She's jumping in with him because, just like, I don't know if it would work if she uses the Featherfall token while holding on to like the back of his shirt or something, just so they can both.
I think the Featherfall token just lets you cast the spell Featherfall, so it just works on a number of creatures equal, or just a number of creatures you can
It's
see
like
within
6.
range.
Yeah.
It's like 6.
So yeah, you
I'll
can
be fine.
cast it on quite a few people.
So, quick snap decision. Who else is following Failsy to hell?
I guess Ketch's
Jamel
gonna fall
drops.
because she's the healer. Ali!
Everyone's going okay.
Lee jumps in the hole as well.
Oh my god, why is he coming?
Everyone was going.
Poor Elway and Gregor are like, I wonder what's going on.
They're just drinking tea inside the car, just like, I'm sure they're all right. All right, so everyone jumps into the hole.
Is Brimstone going?
Or except
I
for
don't know.
Brimstone, are you going?
I don't know.
Brimstone just watched mass suicide.
Basically, Brimstone is not aware of anything stopping free fall other than Jamel. Maybe.
Just a bunch of lemons.
I mean, he knows Morgan has that harpy
The
feather
Featherfall.
thing.
Yeah. So you know that the free fall can be stopped.
I mean, for sake of not splitting the party, technically, I guess yes.
Okay.
They're also
Even though
charged
he
like
feels
that,
it's a terrible decision. Also, Keto just jumped down there full, and someone has to be responsible for that chaotic child.
So-
All right. So in quick succession, because I'm assuming Brimstone, he took like the split second to process that entire string of thoughts, and it's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
And just does the thing where he
Yeah.
steps forward and falls.
It's basically just. Right now, I hate all of you.
All right. So you all begin to fall, and that's where we're gonna take break.
I got.
At least we're falling
Yay!
slowly thanks to Featherfall.
Some of us are.
So we've got a definitive answer for Brimstone on the question of if everyone was jumping off a bridge, would you follow? So, apparently, yes.
Only if Keta's doing it.
Yeah, the answer is only because of Keta, but also because someone has to be responsible.
I would feel like that would mean no. Anyways, 5 to 10 people break time.
Yeah.
Good. I
I don't know. It's magic bullshit.
All I'm imagining is Lee jumping in after Keta and just nope, we're grabbing, nope.
Damn
Lee
Keta,
did very
every
much
time you
do
run
the-
away, you die.
Lee did very much with the Keta no! And just jump in.
Keta, stop running away. Every
Yeah,
time you do, you almost die.
At least she wasn't the first one to jump in after her. I will say that for Keta's credit. She was like the third. The fourth.
Yeah, it ends up being the guy who innate reaction is someone is in danger, go to protect, but forget to out of reaction, oh yeah, I can't use magic.
It's a fresh
It's like-
feeling.
I was wondering how I could use these like levitate bubblegum, but I'm like, that means I'm going up. That might be good for later.
Or down.
Up and possible.
Go down with levitate.
Listen, now we have an easy way up instead of trying to climb. We can just blow bubbles.
Oh yeah, you're probably
Just
mark
for
the stuff that
the
Vinci
sake
has
of
left
add
in.
a thing to
the
my
card.
list. 50
Haven't
foot
touched
rope.
them. Yeah, I would like my rope back, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna add it to my character sheet so I don't forget that there's rope there.
It's
so I
silk
further
rope.
should
It's
have-
nice rope.
It's one of those things that I've been wanting to buy but keep forgetting, even though we do so many shopping episodes.
You guys have been in a city for the last, 6 sessions before the last one. You should have bought a rope.
The only reason Keta has this rope is because she's had it since they got back from being stranded on the island.
Well,
Yeah.
the only way I could retcon that she has a rope now is to say that she bought copious amounts of rope for BDSM purposes.
Wait, who has the parachute?
Da Vinci.
Good!
But
I
did
also-
he have it on him?
He wasn't
And
wearing
also-
it, which is a problem.
And also, would there even be enough room to deploy that with all the people following right after?
Oh yeah,
Well, you-
he's in the
there
front.
wouldn't have been enough room, period, to deploy it.
You have no idea how big this hole is.
Kelsey's just hoping it's widening out enough so she doesn't mangle her wings again.
I love the various theories we have on what the fuck's down here.
Well, Felsy's heading straight forward because the staff is taking her for a ride. My staff!
Yeah, it's one of those. Is you were standing at the edge for how you described yourself, and you held the staff out over it. So when it suddenly gets yanked downwards, it's just like, oh no. And the option was if you. The check was to see if you could hold on to the staff. Period. And you could. And so you were given the option. Do you want to drop it and save yourself from falling, or just go with it?
Well, but it's Failsy. Failsy never lets magic escape her grasp. Unless it's forcefully ripped from her.
Belsey is like a magical black hole of magic items. She just gathers them. Somehow. She just trips over them.
So yes. Such begins the Yeetus.
Sorry we detoured to check out the strange structure, but I was like, I don't feel comfortable looking at that before we possibly face doom.
I wouldn't describe it if I didn't want you guys to potentially look at it, so you're fine.
Also very interesting. Now we have because my thought had been is this just kind of patches of really old dirt? Because I know that can happen, like temperature changes and shit like that.
Yeah, or it could be fungus or or any kind of weird mildewy substances build up.
When you said they're like discs, I was thinking, is there a really, really big bird that just sort of swoops past here and just craps on this place?
No, not that.
Because like I've got a little box thing that I live in. It's a trailer with a house built on it,
Yeah.
and a bird swoops past, and every fucking day craps on my front window.
That's a vindictive bird. Hey, mind if I just do a little and leave?
Like I'm not under a tree or anything. This is open air. It's just it swoops past and goes, got him. Just strafe crapping.
That is what the birds do, though.
So that's my thought process on dried bits of white on the ground.
I understand, but that is not what the intention for them was.
I mean, if it was possible, Millstone would that make a little more sense.
Andy? Andy, stop. You're not making English.
Robot.
I'm gonna go make a cup of
You're
tea.
speaking in Simlish.
Back in a sec, I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
I was going to say it makes a bit more sense if it was acid in an area because, fuck with the stone a little bit to, pry it up. If it was, in fact, a lid. That's my best guess is lid? Lid? Also, Keta now has her casting focus. She can give
Yeah.
back the snake staff, but, she's a little attached to it now because she painted it and made it look all Keta-like.
You painted Failsy's staff?
Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't with the magic paint, no.
Good.
Just with normal paint. Is everybody here?
Oh.
Don't think so.
I would assume someone is actually taking advantage of break time.
I mean, I don't need to pee.
Well, look at you, all fancy like this.
Failsy. Yoink.
Failsy went to go make coffee, and then I assume Danny went to the bathroom.
I assume Armored is also either bathroom or drink. I am just here.
Probably.
I'm just silent.
I don't know if I'm spelling that right, but I don't feel like spell checking writing to,
What are you wondering if you spelled it right?
widens.
Widens?
Yeah.
Widens?
Yeah, I definitely spelled that wrong.
I like how when you Google widens, the definition is just make or become widen or wider. So it's like, I mean, yeah, thank you. That's what I expected that to mean. I was just making sure I spelled the word right myself.
It's acid or fire, not acid of fire.
Acid of fire. You're doing some hecka drugs.
Sounds like something some sort of cursed magical effect that Failsy would reproduce.
Don't mind me while I just burn you with this acid that is also on fire. Which is worse? You're gonna be the judge of that, buddy. What hurts worse, being stabbed or shot? I don't know, you tell me. Shoots with projectile knife. This is both inconclusive and inconvenient.
Projectile knife. So just a thrown knife?
No, like those like whenever you get those like weird knife things that you push the button and it like shoots the knife out.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know why they exist.
I think like a spring release.
I think they're normally like CO2 like compressed things. There's like one that you can get that literally is you stab something and it fills its body cavity with CO2, and there's one that just like shoots the knife out for some reason.
Okay.
It's ballistic knife.
Listen, sometimes you need to stab someone from 30 feet away,
Correct.
and you aren't very good at throwing. Bubbly.
Hey, back.
Welcome back.
I'm here. I'm just muted. I'm
There are several reasons why Failsy will not let go of this staff. One is magic. The other is she's already lost what is effectively an heirloom staff. And this one came from her sister.
It is interesting. I stretch.
Are we all here?
I think so.
I am here.
I have returned
Yeah.
with coffee,
Failsy got the
Myth?
cough.
ready to continue my descent into hell.
Myth, are you alive over there?
Oh, God. How about we don't go there? I don't want to see Dad yet.
Are you ready for the descent into Avernus?
Oh, that would be weird.
It would be. Anyhoozle. Luckily, you're all falling in relatively close proximity to each other. The specific order for falling was Failsy, Dravinche, Keta, Jamel,
Okay.
I believe Morrigan, Lee, then Brimstone.
Morrigan went right after Draventure.
Draventure.
Oh, she went. Sorry, I was going based on the order which I heard people say they would jump in, but I might have misheard, or
No.
might just be misremembering
Yeah,
in a few minutes already. So then it would be
Morrigan went right after
Failsy. So Failsy, Dravinche, Morrigan, Keta.
Morrigan. Yeah,
Lee.
Keta, Lee, Jamel, Brimstone.
Okay.
Yeah, and I misspoke earlier. I meant to say that Morrigan was ready to cast Featherfall.
Yeah. And luckily, you have the wider dark vision, so you have an easier time keeping track of everyone.
Yee.
Alrighty then. Sorry.
Wait, I had an idea to maybe help us as we're descending and maybe seeing. Though Draventure's wearing the dark vision goggles, never mind.
Yeah.
Everyone else has dark vision.
Well, no, it's more so we could again. Dark vision is not. We can't see colors with dark vision. So my thought was cast light on something, and just as we're falling down, we can see.
That's fair.
Fine, Da Vinci.
Alrighty then. So, as you all continue to fall, there is immediately a sense that something is wrong, because you fall for a while, past that 100-foot mark, and you don't see anything around you. Even Morrigan, with your extended dark vision, you do not see anything around you all after you break into the widened part of it. I assume once everyone is like broken through that space and you can see everyone consistently that would actually need assistance, Morrigan, you're casting the Featherfall.
Yeah, I hope that it would last long enough for, should the softening of a fall have to happen.
It lets you descend safely 600 feet, so...
Yes.
Yeah, I just posted it for reference.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. Failsy has
so
wings. Jamel has wings.
Failsy and
the rest
Jamel
of us need
both
it.
have wings, and that's everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that covers everyone nicely.
Yep.
So once everyone is clear, and you wait a second, you don't see the ground below you, and you go ahead and cast just to slow everyone's descent. And you all are just drifting right now. At this point, failsy, Jamel actually swoops down and grabs you and brings you up to the rest of the group as they're descending. Since she doesn't want to take the risk of your wings potentially getting damaged.
Do we maybe want some light as we're falling?
I don't know how much that would help. Can't
If we
see a
can
thing in
see-
here.
We could see finer details.
And so I just realized that I apologize that jumping in was silly since he's just a bit disgruntled.
None of us really have a way to slow falling through Renjay. Aside from Morgan here. So I wouldn't feel too bad because we were gonna have to go in. We were gonna go in after Failsy anyway.
Worst comes to worst, I might be able to support all of you.
Oh, I have. Oh no, I have bubblegum. I have bubblegum. I can levitate us out of here.
And also, I'm holding on to a rod that lets you levitate, so we could potentially go upwards, as well as. So we still have some rods that allow us to reverse gravity. We could possibly leave out right now, but you're right. We do have to at least check out what's going on here.
Whatever it is, really wants my stuff and it can't have it.
Renjay, you might want to lift the goggles so I don't blind you. And she's gonna cast like light on like a coin and just kind of hold it up, like close to her chest, so it's not blinding everybody, but it's giving a decent light around us.
All right. You do so, casting light on a coin to get an idea of what's around you, and it illuminates your party. You do not see any walls around you.
That's concerning. I don't see walls.
That definitely is concerning.
I mean, Lee, you have a wider wingspan than I do when it comes to arms. Do you want to hold it out the coin a little further so maybe we could see if there's a barrier to our area?
I mean, you could. Do you need that coin a lot? You could just throw it.
Give me a minute. And she switches it to like a copper. It just yeets the coin.
All right. You throw the coin into the distance, and you all watch it trail into the distance as far as your eyes can see, until eventually it just arcs downwards out of sight.
The fuck?
There was a point you saw it specifically get cut out of your vision, though.
So we're going down.
Yeah, you are going down, but this is a lot deeper than you were expecting.
I was going to try a more directed approach and cast Firebolt like horizontally from herself to what she hopes is a wall. She can go 20 feet of range.
You can't, because there's nothing for you to aim it at. Firebolt requires you to aim it at something. You can't just fire it into nothing.
Cling a little tighter to Lee.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
I feel like
I will say, with the coin being thrown, you all could make a perception check.
Yes,
Hey,
please.
I had a good idea.
Ooh, that's
What
a 20
was-
for Drenche.
What was said before Andy got screamy?
I have no idea.
All I said was, yes, please. 8.
16. Fails is more alert than usual.
All right then. You all saw it disappear, and obviously I'm giving you this with the context that Featherfall was cast, and even though it only lasts for 1 minute, I'm letting you guys talk above game, technically speaking, because it makes the RP work. Keta, Dravinche, and Failsy. You all watch the coin fall, and you work it out in your brains a little bit, try to figure out that distance. Keta, you weren't great at math before, but your math is a little bit better right now. It looked like it fell into something about 500 feet below you.
Gods above. Random save us. Alright, we're going about 500 feet more down until we see that coin again.
And over the
Wonder if
course
that-
of...
Sorry. I just wonder if that's some portal that we're floating down to.
I can hang on to
Over
the
the-
light for about an hour.
It's gone. You don't see it anymore.
Well, on the plus side, I don't think it's the magic water because that stuff glowed.
Alright. Over the course of the minute Featherfall bringing you down this distance, right towards the end of it, and Morrigan, you catch sight of this a little bit earlier than everyone else, due to the fact your dark vision extends further. But as the spell is just starting to wane in its effectiveness, you all notice that there is a surface below you, but it looks like this inky blackness.
I think we're falling into a portal.
Oh, fuck.
Filthy, should we go with the... Jamel seems to clam up as she actually stops descending with the rest of the party and is still holding on to Failsy. Failsy, she is asking you, should she go with the rest of the party?
Bailey's is gonna throw the rope and it's like at the rest of the party. It's like, that looks bad.
Alright. You all get a rope thrown at you.
And
I mean, I guess.
could,
What is going on there?
I'm going to mute Failsy for a second.
could Keta fumble out like 2 like gumballs and like hand one to Lee like just in case?
You could, but at this point, you would have only 1 round as you were descending, so it's either do that or grab the rope.
The rope's not attached to anything. It's kind of
The
It's
rope is
Failsy and
attached to
Jamel that
Failsy,
has a hold
who's
of it.
attached to Jamel. We're basically banking on Jamel being strong enough to pull all of us out.
the only person that would be like, I don't know who would be fast enough to grab it.
It got thrown to all of you.
Yeah, basically we can all grab onto it.
You're kind of all floating down in a line.
Yeah.
Keta will grab onto it.
Sorry, honey, this is gonna be heavy.
Da Vinci will grab onto it and use the Rod of Levitation to use a charge of the Rod of Levitation to, I guess, cast Levitate. I don't quite remember exactly what it does.
Um. Did I give you? I gave you the description for it, didn't I?
I think you did, but I don't seem to have it in my notes.
Let me get my item pool. Do I actually still have that paper?
If it's casting the spell Levitate,
I think it had 3 charges with the ability to cast the spell Levitate, something like that.
You
Yeah,
can move.
I-
You can move up or down 20 feet as part of your movement.
So I guess Da Vinci would try to function as kind of the other anchor point, as terrible as an idea that is.
I mean, you could cast it on anyone. You could technically cast it on Lee.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
would
it can
cast
levitate a target up to 500 pounds.
that. He would use the Rod of Levitation and hope that he can actually use it and try to have Lee be a levitation point so that he can take some of the weight for Jamel.
Alright then.
I mean, I imagine it'd take at least a good 200 some pounds off of Jamel trying to bring everybody up.
I would
Make
imagine
Jamel
he's
roll
more
with-
like 3.
300
Well, it's because Lee weighs a lot, and the rod can only let him support 500 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
like the levitate spell.
Yeah.
which is essentially
Okay.
the other 100 limit is about Keta.
Okay,
Being
so
small is
I'm
useful.
gonna give Jamel advantage on this strength check. Alright. And with a nat 20, Lee just suddenly stops descending and has one in the rope, and the rest of you grab onto the rope as Jamel just wraps it around her hand and flaps upward above Lee, and it's just... You guys are sort of like bobbing a little bit because Jamel is flapping her wings to keep aloft rather than just levitating. But you are staying aloft at this point, just above this black liquid.
I wonder if this is the wellspring we were looking for.
I think we should go up now. I don't want to be down here anymore. Oh, there's something in the water.
We should probably go up.
Yeah. I don't
I
want to
can't-
find out what that is.
Yeah, hearing that can catch
That-
shove a gumball in her mouth. Don't trust
The
Keta's
interesting
strength to
point of
keep-
order, you're currently holding onto the rope with both hands, I would assume.
Oh.
Okay.
Just try to hook your arm around it so that you could get one hand free.
Alright then. Morrigan, I'm going to give you this because you'd be able to notice this with your extended dark vision and its ability to peer through magical darkness.
Mm-hmm.
The source of that sound seems to be bubbles. Occasionally throughout this pool, there would just be like the very slow rising bubbles. Like how whenever you see a very viscous fluid that's clear and just and they'll pop. But it doesn't move like water where you expect it to like immediately react and sink back down. It pops and then it hangs and then sloshes back into itself. It has like the consistency of pen ink.
Yeah, we should probably be going back up. That's some fucked up shit down there.
Up is good, up is good.
As well, I guess Failsy doesn't get a vote on that one. It's like,
All right then. Kepta, if you're wanting to try to fish around your bag to retrieve an item, you'll have to make a strength check to see if you can hold on while doing so.
I wouldn't Keta have that on like a small pouch on her belt.
still gonna go
Probably
54?
not. That does not really sound like something you would do, considering you've got most of your other candy, as per how you've described it, in large bags in your pack. And you were also given them with a lot of other candy.
Failsy's gonna see if she can help the issue by quietly invoking wild magic from where she is.
Keta's there, like, no, yeah, for now, I'm just gonna hold on to that, but just cry. I'm gonna cry. Crying's good.
Right.
Crying's cathartic.
Fair. It lets the stress out, literally. You leak the stress chemical out of your eyeballs.
Yeah, and Amulux doesn't feel the need to come out.
You definitely do get that, like, that flight or flight sense is going off a little bit.
Oh no, it's not good.
Are you all wanting to go up, or is this what we're doing? You all wanted to come down here.
Up.
We all kind of jumped down because Failsy did Failsy things. You know.
I don't.
You know.
I'm gonna at Failsy and see if everything's okay.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, Failsy's here.
Ash,
Wait.
you need to unmute Failsy.
Yeah,
you muted Failsy
on
for
your
yourself,
end.
not server mute.
Yeah.
Well, he's also not saying anything.
He's been talking.
No,
wait, what?
He said stuff. It just
Oh, what
muted
the
him for
heck?
you,
That was
not the rest of us.
I hit server mute. I don't know why that didn't work then.
I don't know.
Okay, so I got muted.
Yeah, because people were talking in the background.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were having a discussion or anything, so I hit server mute, but apparently it just muted you for me? That's weird.
Mm.
Okay, I didn't know that.
My mum came to yell at me about milk.
Okay.
I didn't spot a carton of milk in there that had an earlier expiration date than the one I opened.
I know that feeling. Okay, sorry. That was weird. Okay, very odd.
I thought people were just ignoring me for my dumb idea.
What was the idea? Because I just didn't hear it.
I was just going to try and throw magic at the thing below us. It seems to be pulling on the staff, which is full of wild magic.
Oh no, is Failsy talking?
Failsy wanted to throw wild magic down.
Okay, so you're one to shoot some magic down there as well, as the rest of the party is one to push upwards.
I was going to see if she could invoke wild magic through her staff.
All right then. You expend some charges, I assume.
Yes.
All right then.
If it's hazardous for the party, she'll cancel it with further charges.
All right. Let's go ahead and roll that wild magic surge.
Now there's a D20 plus D100.
Yep.
Boop. And boop. 8 and 32.
8 and 32. All right then. You feel yourself bolstered slightly. And you actually do watch as you do that, the weird black liquid below you sort of drifts upwards towards the staff. Almost like whenever you see ferrofluid moving towards a magnet.
Failsy has a second.
You all sort of see this happen.
Failsy's going to try and throw her mage hand into the goop to try and grab some.
Alright then. You do so, and Failsy vanishes.
Oh, fuck.
As
What?
soon as your mage hand makes contact with the liquid, you all just watch as Failsy just...
I hope Jamel can grab that rope. I think Jamel's actually...
She already was kind of holding it.
I don't want to go.
Fuck.
And now you have a Jamel who is... might throw everyone into the soup just to follow Failsy. I don't know.
She's not that reckless, but she definitely looks like she's considering it. Okay, what do you all want me to do? Just go up? I'll go after her?
Motherfucking Failsy, god damn it!
I
Answer the question. Do you all want to go up? I will go after her.
How are we going up then?
We go up, she
Fine.
comes back down.
Jamel will start flapping and pulling you guys back up.
I only wanted to take a sample so we could examine it on upstairs.
Magic is applied to your soul. It's an extension of your will, and therefore an extension of you.
It's usually a safe thing to just poke things with mage hand.
Usually, that implies they're edge cases, which there's this one.
It's all good. Alright.
well, it's either we go in and try to see if we could help her, or we leave her here. I'm
It's
not
probably like
exactly-
the fucking mountain, let's be honest.
We should probably go. We'll never know.
Are all of you agreeing? Because I certainly am ready to go.
Take us up, we'll figure something out up there.
Okay. Jamel will continue pulling you all up.
It.
In the top screens of all of your... just inside all of your view, you see the words. Jamel will remember this.
Oh, she's coming back down. This is not a Telltale game. Alright.
I
You all
know,
get back up to the hole.
Okay.
That's at one point Jamel stops flying and is literally doing the thing where she's basically pressing her back against one surface and walking upwards due to the fact she's quite large compared to this hole.
Yeah, she's large enough she can do that.
Yeah.
And Lee is just floating up behind her.
Basically just acting as
Basically, yeah.
plug to push forward.
Basically. I mean, he can't move as fast as she can. He can only move 20 feet per round like that. But it's basically acting as
After
a
you
secondary
all-
ballast.
Yeah. As you all get up, she's just like looks at the rest of you. I'm sorry, but I can't leave her.
Understandable.
We don't intend to leave her. We just need to take a second to think.
I'm not letting her go down there alone. I'm going with Jamal. The rest of you can figure something out.
I'm going to go with.
I just didn't want Lee to go down there as well. We don't know what's going to be down there. It's probably going to be like the fucking mountain, let's be honest.
How
What is so
bad is that?
bad about the mountain? You all keep saying I shouldn't have gone in there. What's going on here?
Because you're gonna get
I-
memories of a person that you aren't Lee. You aren't Lee. Please just go back to the cart. Please.
I just mean
Calm down.
I just mean that it's probably going to separate all of us.
Would it have
Lee.
if we went all in at the same time?
Yes, we did so in the mountain, and it instantly separated each of us.
What do you know what that's what this is?
We don't, and that's the scary part. We don't know what it's going to do to each of us. All we know is that Failsy got herself into a situation, and now it's either we go in there and try to help her get out of it, or we leave her. And I did not spend 6 years of my life protecting others to go and just abandon someone now.
She's an impulsive, reckless little shit, but I ain't about to leave another person behind.
Morgan's
Lee,
just doing that thing where
I just
one is
don't want you
aggressive.
to get hurt.
Morgan's doing that thing where one aggressively ties their hair back.
I can't go down
Nice.
there. I can't.
I'm not letting
Nope,
someone else
and
get
we're
hurt
not
because of
going
my
to.
inaction.
Keta, you don't have to go.
Etta?
Lee. I'm fine.
Etta, go. You are more than welcome to go back to the cart, talk with Elway, discuss with her the situation, and maybe show her the environment. Maybe she might know more.
I need to get away from the hole. And she's gonna just book it back to the cart as she feels the need to run.
Lee, I think it's best for you to go with her to make sure that she doesn't have an incredible panic attack.
It's too late for that, but you can mitigate it.
Just don't understand.
I don't
Uh,
either. I'm not.
The,
I don't know what she's talking about, honestly.
That's. I feel like I'm being stupid, but that's water down there. I'm the one here who do water well. It looks
didn't-
thick, but it's water. I hold my breath. None of you can.
It didn't look like water to us.
It looks
It looked like
But it might look like water to Lee. Because Lee has an affinity with it.
I don't know, okay? I'm just confused. Everything
Well-
keeps happening.
Well, to us, it looked more like ink, not water.
It was dark, yeah. It was dark. It was black. But it's still water.
we don't know.
Fine. At this
Lee,
point, Jamel is standing at the edge.
I'm going to ask you a question. You are your own
What?
person. Do you want to come with us?
I don't want to be separated from you all again like I've been every other time this has happened. Every time it happens, something bad happens to all you.
Then come with us.
He just looks towards the cart.
If Keta gets
She-
mad at you, just tell her I told you to. I'll take the blame for it. I don't care. I just...
Same here.
You're right.
She can
We
scream
shouldn't,
at all
we
of us.
shouldn't be. We shouldn't be coddling you just because we think it's right. But we gotta go.
I
I
have
think
to
if-
do something. Okay. Lee's just going to walk forward and step over the side.
All right.
I'm certainly not
What?
going to wait.
Let's go.
Yeah. God damn it! I should have just done that the first time.
Well, at least now we know there's something down there to catch us.
Yeah.
Falling down the hole. Take 2.
And
Basically.
You all fall. Sorry, go on.
at least this time we know what we're falling to, and people have made their decisions. Dravinci jumps.
Yeah.
All right. You all fall. Much faster this time.
yeah.
And
So we're in active free fall instead of
slow fall.
So instead of taking like a full minute, we hit that shit in like 15 seconds.
Yeah. You all fall, and eventually you see below you approaching rapidly this liquid. The moment you hit it, the whole world around you just goes black. And that's what we'll pick up next week.
Sorry, guys.
It's fun.
No, we each made a decision in character.
Tune in next time, where Keta meets
Keta's-
a new band of adventurers.
Keta's flight instinct was way too strong in that moment, and she's.
Yeah. Well, this time we got to make our decision instead of Failsy making it for us.
I mean, Failsy still technically made it for us,
I mean-
but we made the decision to
Well-
follow.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Well-
Halsey didn't make the choice to go in the pool. It yanked her in.
Well, but she did because she tried to grab it. Even with Mage Hand, like, I don't know.
Failsy
Like, yes, but no. Anyways,
tried to take precautions and do like quick sample grabbing so they can figure out.
now is this going to be the time when Failsy gets her comeuppance? I'd put money on. Probably not.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
It's like,
Anyways.
do you want Failsy to get her comeuppance at this point?
Kind
I will-
of.
I will go ahead and tell you all, depending on how things goes, these next few sessions, you keep bringing up the Mountain of Reflection, I might as well go ahead and say this. The next few sessions are going to possibly be similar to that, where we focus on specific players.
On, like, 1 or 2 at a time.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'm just letting you
Hey.
guys know that ahead of time.
It might be shorter because you don't have to include Keta in on it.
Oh,
That doesn't mean anything. I mean, it might be a little shorter, but it's still probably going to take 2 sessions, at least.
Unless Keta is going to get forcefully yeeted in there.
No, not necessarily, but there might still be
really-
a conversation to be had.
yeah, like, she's going to have her own thing with Elway and Gregory, probably.
And probably
Or at least
Omulux.
Maybe, yeah. Anyways, just probably wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, let's wrap up.
Alright, anybody got anything to announce, promote, or shout out?
No.
I will
Nah.
in a few sessions' time, but not quite yet. I already have the session title for today in mind.
What, for tonight's session?
Yay.
Okay, cool. When you get a chance, just DM it to me. Okay, so if there's... And I've promoted my friend several sessions in a row, so I think I'm fine to just go ahead and go to our normal preamble, or ending ambly thing.
Yee.
So, if you all enjoyed this and want to find out what happens next with us, you can join us most Saturdays at or around 8 p.m. EST for more of the Scattered Realms. Project Ada is still in hiatus mode. I'm working on things on my end to try to help with that. When I actually have proper news, I will let you know.
Yeah. Work-life balance. It's always fun to have to strike up.
Okay, so...
You mean you don't want to work all day, every day?
No.
Only if I get paid.
But the corporations. Think of the corporations.
They can go suck a
Anyways.
big old fat rotten lemon for all I care.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah,
think of the
that.
corporations. I think they have too much money.
Think of them violently. Anyways.
Yeah, okay, so... Yeah, I think for now, let's just focus on Scattered Realms, and when we can do Ada stuff, I'll start announcing Ada again.
Yeah.
So, for the time being, it'll just be most Saturdays at or around 8 p.m. EST on this very channel for more Scattered Realms. So, I guess until... I guess everybody can say goodnight now?
Good night.
Good night from the void.
We're all in the void now, aside from Keta.
I feel so
Keta's-
bad.
Don't worry about
Keta's
it!
just in the void of guilt.
She feels
We're all in the
bad.
void now, Mr. Krabs.
She feels guilty, but it's like she figured listening to the thing that's specifically designed for her survival is probably good.
But the thing that's specifically
And-
designed for your survival fucking hates you.
Anyway,
Yes.
let's just wrap this up. Finish wrapping up.
Yes,
Like I said,
Shh.
Alright, good night, everybody. We'll see you next week, hopefully.